Hey, this is Dr. Barry. For the next few minutes, let's discuss a very important topic, B12 deficiency. B12 deficiency is becoming more and more common, and I want to talk about 7 signs that doctors sometimes miss. B12 deficiency is not blatantly black and white. Sometimes it can be a very obtuse diagnosis, and I want to tell you about 7 signs that you can look for, and you might need to remind your doctor, hey, this could be vitamin B12 deficiency. Maybe you should check for that. If you're listening to this video and you hear a sign or a symptom that reminds you of someone you know, please consider sharing this video with them. You can share it on your Facebook page or in your group, or you can send them an email or a text with a link, and that way they'll know to get their vitamin B12 fixed, because if it is low, it can be a severe medical problem. Now, let's talk about these 7 signs. Each of these 7 signs are very nondescript, very not they're signs that basically could be 50 different things, and some of these signs and symptoms are things that doctors would rather not talk about, and I'll tell you why when I get to that symptom. But the number one and probably the most worrisome and maybe even the most common sign of B12 deficiency is burning or numbness or tingling in your fingers, toes, feet, hands, sometimes even face if it's severe. But neuropathy, as you may know, is becoming more and more common in modern society. And the problem is that it can be caused by many, many different things. I have other videos on this YouTube channel about diabetic neuropathy. There are multiple different reasons that you might have burning, tingling, numbness in your hands, feet, fingers, and toes. But vitamin B12 deficiency is one of those. Vitamin B12 is mandatory for your body to be able to properly manufacture myelin, which is basically a sheath that wraps around your nerves and helps them to function more efficiently and to transport neuronal signals much faster. And so, if you're B12 deficient, your nerves are not going to work properly. And this can be a very vague symptom. And so, just a burning in your feet, a lot of older folks think, well, that's just part of getting older. And it could very well be a B12 deficiency. So, any burning, numbness, tingling in any of the extremities warrants a visit to your doctor, and for you to say out loud, I hope this is not B12 deficiency. Could you check for that? The second symptom or sign is a smooth, slightly swollen tongue. When you look at your tongue in the mirror, which I hope all of you do on a regular basis, it should be bumpy and irregular and very uneven. It should not look smooth at all. If you have a very smooth surface on your tongue, or if your tongue feels too big for your mouth, these are both can be signs of a vitamin B12 deficiency. And so, again, a trip to your doctor and a question about B12 deficiency. And it's your doctor's job to check all of the other things that could be causing these symptoms. But I want you to make sure and ask about B12 deficiency because it's very commonly missed. Next is fatigue. The most general of all general symptoms, fatigue, just no energy. I just don't have the get up and go. This can be hundreds of different things, but one of the things that should be included by your doctor in the workup is a vitamin B12 level, methylmalonic acid, and a homocysteine. These 3 labs need to be checked. Next is slow thinking, slow mentation. I just can't, my memory's not great. I just can't think as fast as I used to. These can all be signs of a B12 deficiency and should be included in any dementia workup, any Alzheimer's workup, any fatigue workup should include these 3 labs to make sure that your B12 level is optimal. Next is problems with your balance or problems with your gait. And so if you're having trouble staying balanced when you didn't used to, if you're having trouble or your family members notice, you walk funny, you don't walk the same as you used to, these are big red flags that you need to have your vitamin B12 level checked immediately. Many people who drink too much alcohol for years and years, one of the first ways that their family notices that something has changed is that their gait, when they walk, it looks different. It doesn't look the same. Big red flag. Go see your doctor on that one. Next one is a very vague symptom. Again, irritability. There are hundreds of things that can cause someone to be more irritable, whether it's a spouse that won't behave or it's your B12 level that's too low. It's hard to know which. And so a trip to the doctor to get some blood work checked absolutely is vital if you're just newly irritable over the last few months for no real reason. Next is tinnitus, that ringing in your ears. If that has been coming on over the last few weeks or months, it could be B12. Again, the nerves don't operate properly. It's impossible to have normal nerve function if your vitamin B12 level is too low for too long. And so tinnitus needs to be worked up by your doctor, and there are other tests that need to be ordered, but vitamin B12 should be among them. Finally, again, one of the symptoms that doctors don't like to ask about. Doctors don't like to ask, how's your energy level? How's your mood? And so the last one is depression. And I've talked about before that depression should be a diagnosis of exclusion. Before you ever diagnose someone with depression, there should be a lot of lab work that you've checked. And among that lab work should be a vitamin B12 level, because vitamin B12 deficiency can masquerade as depression and have all of the symptoms that the DSM says that you should have for depression. It could just be a vitamin B12 deficiency. Now, to get vitamin B12 repleted in your body, I want you to eat animal products. And so most any meat, most any organ meat, any kind of animal food product is going to have some B12 in it. If you just refuse to eat animals, if you are a vegan or a vegetarian and you're just not going to do that, then I recommend you buy a very good quality methylated B12 or B complex. And I'll put a link down below to a good one that I think will give you everything you need. I'd much rather you get it naturally from your food, but if you'd rather take a supplement, either just to be sure, or if you know that for moral reasons you're just not going to eat animals, then you can take this supplement once a day and you'll know that you're getting enough B12 so you can avoid all of these symptoms we talked about. Now, if you enjoy videos like this where I talk about the science, the common sense, and the ancestral appropriateness of what you eat and what you take and how you live, then please consider clicking the subscribe button. It's right down there somewhere, and there's a little bell right beside it. Click the bell and choose all notifications so that every time I have a bright idea, you'll be one of the very first people to know. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.